And welcome everyone to the Sports Corner on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Today is Thursday, November 13th. Big time in the sports world. MLB season is over. We discussed the World Series last week. A lot to talk about in the National Football League with the firing and then a conference that is looking extremely stacked. But before we get into all of that and much more, I am your host, Sebastian Stratton, joined once again by our ADJ, Brittany Gerardo. Welcome back, Brittany.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Always. And Lorenzo Gonzalez and James Gregg. Fellas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Super duper.
We're doing wonderful. We're in the trenches, but we're surviving as always, every single day.
Always surviving. Definitely the motto for a lot of NFL teams right now, just trying to make a push for the playoffs. And the teams that are already in the playoffs trying to stand their ground and really make a move. But fellas, I'm going to jump into this right away. The New York Giants, they have made the second head coaching firing of the season after starting 2-8 and 3 straight years. What it looks like to be more losing seasons after starting 9-7-1 with a playoff berth back in 2022, which included head coach Brian Daboll, former head coach Brian Daboll, advancing to the divisional round, going to Minnesota and beating the Vikings in the wild card round. He has been fired. Hot take, what are the reactions?
I think this is terrible for, the number one reason why I think this is horrible is because they look like they finally have a promising quarterback in Jackson Dart, and just to give him, after he's made a connection with this head coach, to just rip that away from him. Obviously, he's a talented guy. He's going to make a connection with somebody else, but you got to feel bad for him. It's like a whole new start in development for him. So I think that's one of the worst downsides of this.
This is, if this event were to happen last season, the end of last season, going into the off season, or maybe even mid season, with how we remember how terrible the Giants were in last season, 2024, that wouldn't be a shocker to all of us. The shocking part is, just like James said, this is a team that could potentially, I'm not going to say they are on the rise, but I'm going to say they're having a much better season and a much better position than they were last season. They have a young developing core. They lost, of course, we all know, it's been ruled out. Neighbors and Scatterboo have been out for about a couple weeks now, 3 weeks now. And to add insult to injury now, you fire a guy who really wasn't the problem. I don't think Daboll was me personally, people have said a number of different things. Some people actually liked this firing. Some people hated it. A lot of the fans did. I think this was a terrible firing. And once again, another terrible move and I think the biggest name to blame here is Joe Sheena. By far.
I agree.
Joe is the biggest name. And I'm wondering, this is my essential question today, is why does he still have a job? I don't even know why this man still has a job. I mean, we'll go back to the Saquon trade, but also he's just not good at drafting. I don't think he's that good at drafting. He's not good at management whatsoever with this team. It's like a night and day effect. And speaking of rivals, it's like a night and day effect with him and Howie. It's with the Eagles. It's insane. I think this was a terrible firing. And another question I want to throw to the floor here is why. I don't want to say why, because it's not the worst change, but it's kind of an odd one in the middle of the season. Jameis Winston started. He's starting in this upcoming game that he's having. What do we think about that?
Did you see him singing? Did you see him sing in his press conference yesterday? That was beautiful.
I saw his press. I mean,
it was wonderful.
I
love his press conferences. We have to mention that.
He definitely has a job in sports media after he's done with playing football. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. I hope this guy balls out. I mean, it's hard not to love him. I mean, he's like, I just want to thank the good Lord for letting me play this amazing game. Like, you gotta love him. Listen, this is going to be a little bit later, but I feel like that's my pick today for, who's going to win. I just see them, for some reason, I think he's going to go ball out. And I'd love to see that, but you got to feel bad for Russell Wilson, though.
Yeah.
I got to agree with James here. I think Jameis Winston's going to have an incredible time in New York. Hopefully, I'm wishing him the best, too. He's probably my favorite personality next to probably Baker and DK. Or T.J. Watt in the NFL. So, but I also wanted to bring the floor here because we're talking about Daboll's firing. How about people like to talk about the Madden curse, which on another show, by the way, the Fire Sports Pod, which I used to be on, I actually broke that curse. We debunked it one episode, but we're not going to talk about that now. I want to talk about a real curse. Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year awards. Did we ever look at the list of the Coach of the Year awards over the past couple years, or actually probably the past 10 years?
Well, Lorenzo, I'll have you
15 years.
Bring that up. But Lorenzo, you brought up a great point. Going back to Brian Daboll, how does Brian Daboll get fired, but then Joe Shane stays, and then Shane Bowen, one of the worst defensive coordinators in football, he stays?
Horrible.
How is
horrible
that?
decision.
I don't agree with it. I understand that it's a business based on results. The NFL is a result-oriented business. But Lorenzo, I know you have something to say, and if you have the coaches, if you have the curse, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I want to bring light to why I think Daboll got fired. I think that it's the main reason is because the team wasn't winning. And I think and that's a very generic thing to say to me, but you got to understand in football, no matter who it is, whether, like you said, defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, even like the special teams assistant, it doesn't matter. All the pressure is always going to fall on the head coach.
Always.
And this is what separates the great head coaches from the bad head coaches. It's always how you respond to pressure, because every head coach in NFL history has had an awful season. Not everyone has had a good season, of course, but the ones who are great have always rose up to the occasion. And I feel like owner Joe Sheen, in his mind, he probably thought that Daboll wasn't rising up to that situation the past 3 years, which kind of, in my eyes, is pretty stupid situational-wise. But let me go to this Coach of the Year thing. And we'll start here in 2013. Ron Rivera, what happened to his career? Went down the tube. Let's be honest, he wasn't a good head coach. That was mostly players. Bruce Arians, also a coach. He had a Super Bowl winning year. But then again, he's been shipped. That was on the Cardinals, and he wasn't too well in the Cardinals, even after winning Coach of the Year. 2015, Ron Rivera again. I don't know how he won it 2 years. He's not that good of a coach at all. Jason Garrett. We know what happened to him in Dallas. Sean McVay, the only guy in the past, I want to say 13 years that has been successful from the rest of this list. Matt Nagy, that was in 2018 with the Bears.
With the Chiefs now, Matt Nagy.
We remember that game, right? With
my goodness.
The upright.
Do you really
hit the upright?
You think when Cody Parkey goes to bed, he has nightmares about that?
Every night.
Every night.
Just like Scott Norwood with the Bills in Super Bowl 25.
Yes, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah.
Yes,
the wide right. 2019, John Harbaugh. We already know he's kind of been like Mike Tomlin. We could say he's been
basically same coach, except getting to the playoffs slightly more. But he has a franchise quarterback. Tomlin hasn't.
And then 2020, 2023, Kevin Stefanski, absolutely terrible. Mike Vrabel. Now this is a great one because he's balling out. He is one of the best coaches in the league right now. But that was in Tennessee, and I believe the following year or 2023 he got fired. So,
yes.
And then 22, of course, Brian Daboll. And the most recent one, Kevin O'Connell, who has been completely struggling in Minnesota.
I agree, but I don't think O'Connell gets fired. No way.
I don't think O'Connell gets fired.
J.J. McCarthy 100% still needs more development.
Now, that's a different conversation for another time.
I'm not saying he's the guy, but I'm saying he needs more development.
Kevin O'Connell is struggling this year.
He is. They're last in the division, 4-5.
Other than Sean McVay, all of these coaches have either gotten fired, they've went down the tube after they got the award, or it's just you have a Sean McVay randomly. It's been bad luck though. All around it's just been bad luck, and Daboll has now added to the list of bad luck for the Coaches of the Year award. I know that we were going to bring up this question of who do we think the Giants are going to hire now?
Well, I'll
as
say
a head coach
before we get to that, I'll say that. Because very quickly, Mike Kafka, he was the one, for those who didn't know, he is now the interim head coach with the final 7 games. I do very well agree with this. Not saying it's necessarily the right move, but I do understand the perspective of Giants owner John Mara. I know, James, you're a Giants fan, so you have obviously the insight here. But people were saying online that if Mike Kafka, in his final 7 games as the interim head coach, if he goes at a minimum 4-3, 5-2, 38 years old, young, offensive-minded guy to help develop Jackson Dart, he is the guy. Agree or disagree?
I mean, yeah, but that would also be incredible if you look at, especially with the way the team is constructed right now, injuries included. If he could go 500, that would be incredible for the Giants and for Giants fans. But I mean, that even for some of the best coaches in the world to turn this roster the way it stands right now, even with all their bright young spots that look to be promising and made this team even a little bit exciting to watch. They're all injured right now. It's impossible to really do anything with this roster, go anywhere right now. They might play they might play upset for a couple teams, but I don't see them going 500 during his time as the interim coach. I don't even know if he gets close, but if he does, and he proves that he can, turn a roster from rags to riches, then like in his 7 games there, then yeah. I mean, if he proves that he can win, then there's no reason to really remove him at the moment, but I don't see that happening at all.
And then you also have to add to the fact that their offensive line absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think anything
across the board.
And that's the biggest problem to me. How the GM, the management of the Giants during the draft selection, they don't do nothing with their O-line.
Well,
recently they have not done nothing with it.
You see a lot of teams starting to follow the Eagles. Steelers, perfect example. Last 3 years, 3 offensive linemen. Zach Frazier, Troy Fautanu, Broderick Jones. Rebuilding that offensive line. Mason McCormick as well, but he's the only one that wasn't a first-rounder. But look at Mason McCormick. 4 out of the 5 starters on the Steelers' current offensive line were draft picks within the past 2 years.
That's correct. They've had you're absolutely right on that, Sebastian. They've had an amazing amount of the Steelers themselves have had an amazing amount of draft picks for the offensive linemen, but the Giants have done nothing with it. And I think the most exposed game with it was last game against the Bears. I saw a ton of missed blocks where the Giants' whole O-line would go one direction. They'd have the Bears would have all their pass rushers going right to Dart, and nobody was able to stop him. And with that kind of an offensive line as a quarterback, you're in a lot. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Peyton Manning. I don't care if you're Joe Montana. I don't care if you're Johnny Unitas. You are in trouble. If you don't have any offensive line, no quarterback can be truly good. If you don't have anybody guarding you up front, you are not going to win ball games.
No.
The offensive line is one of probably the most important position on offense because it's the whole position it's the whole unit that makes the offense run.
When you're
and if you don't have that, the defense has to step up as the offense.
When you're an offensive lineman and your name isn't getting mentioned much during a game, you did a good job. If your name is constantly being mentioned, such as Broderick Jones, hate to call you out, Broderick, but he's been subject to questioning at the left tackle position for the Steelers, a bunch of penalties, definitely has cleaned that up, but the offensive line, as both of you said, definitely the sole foundation of a football team, really helps you get the offense moving. But going back to the Giants here, head coach, final 7 games, let's go under the assumption that Mike Kafka does not get the job. I'll start it off here, and I'll let you guys weigh in on this. Who is one guy that you would like to see get this job? And I will start off, and I kind of think this is his audition this Sunday, is Jeff Hafley, Packers defensive coordinator, New Jersey native, not saying that matters a whole lot, but he has led the Packers to one of the top 5 defensive units in the NFL the past 2 years. He showcased it on national television in the Monday night game a few days ago versus the Eagles, held the Eagles to 3 points for a large majority of the game before that touchdown late in the fourth quarter to Devontae Smith. He's a young guy. I don't necessarily believe that you need an offensive-minded head coach to develop Jackson Dart. I think the job, if you do hire a defensive guy or a special teams guy, there's very few of those in the league. John Harbaugh is one that I can think of off the top of my head. You need to hire a good offensive coordinator. So I think for Jeff Hafley, going against Jameis Winston, new face at quarterback, you have different pieces moving on offense. Theo Johnson, the tight end for the Giants, seems to be the top option right now. No Cam Scatterbu, no Malik Neighbors, who were lost to injury. But fellas, I'll open the floor up here. Who is one guy that you would like to see in 2026 as the Giants head coach?
Well, I didn't really have much prepared for this, but once I saw this was going to be a topic coming up, I did a little bit of research. I like this. I like Cliff Kingsbury, current Commander's offensive coordinator right now, former Cardinals head coach. He's done really well with Kyler Murray and Jaden Daniels when they were healthy in the past, and I think his skill set can help develop Dart, especially with his, the way he's mobile and his downfield throwing ability and stuff like that. Joe Brady is also an option, 36 years old, current Bills offensive coordinator. Did a lot of work with Josh Allen, but they kind of went that route before with Daboll when he was there. So I don't know. I think those are two good options, but I think you just want to pick the guy who's going to best develop Dart, and I think those two guys have a chance.
I got 2 words for you. 2 words. John Gruden. That is and I love that you asked that question, Sebastian, because I don't think there's any other guy who was more enthusiastic of coming back to the league than John Gruden. And I truly do believe if all of this nonsense goes under the water with him and the commissioner, I hate the commissioner, by the way, then I think that he should definitely be the head coach for his team. I think he should be a great hire. And I want to go through his resume just a little bit because there's a lot of things that people don't know about his resume. He was with the 1990 49ers team. He was an offensive assistant. They won 14-2 that season. Almost made it to the Super Bowl, except for that kick in the championship game by Matt Barr, the Giants. He's head coach of Tampa Bay, head coach of the Raiders, right, and made them winning team once again. They won the AFC West in 2000. They went to the Super Bowl. They went to the Big Bowl in 2002 when he actually coached against them. So he was really the cornerstone of getting Bill Romanowski, Jerry Rice, Rich Gannon, who was the league's MVP that year in 2002. He's just an amazing offensive and defensive minded coach. And you also have to understand he was also a defensive coach in Philadelphia for the Eagles in the he was an offensive coordinator for the Eagles in the 90s. He's a very offensive minded guy, but Gruden's just incredible on defense as well. And I gotta bring up the Barstool Sports episodes. I have to bring that up. He hasn't been coaching the league in 4 years now. Last time he was with the Raiders. But have you seen the episode with Dart? Have you guys seen the episode they had with Dart?
Well, if you also see, he's posting YouTube videos now,
yeah,
dissecting for hours at a time, previewing these games and talking about the key players. You can't hate the man because obviously he knows his stuff.
I was just about to bring that up, actually. He has not forgotten. That's the thing. He's not forgotten the game of football. Football is literally in this man's veins. He thinks about football like it's a religion.
When he's showering?
Everything is a sacred religion to him. Everything with football is like a religion with this guy. He is the perfect. If the Giants were a smart franchise, they're not going to do it though. But if they were a smart franchise, they would go after this guy. He's getting the best out of Dart. He has a great relationship with the guy. He would be a perfect hire for this team and to get another shot out of the barrel. Now, I don't think he can deliver them out of this season, but definitely going into this next season, he can motivate the team better than any coach has since Coughlin for the Giants organization, and that's no lie. This is an old-school football guy, and he gets the best, and that's the one thing I love about Gruden more than anything. He gets the best out of his players. He's a player's coach. He never played himself. He never played football himself, but he has probably one of the best relationships I've ever seen when it comes to a player-coach relationship than any coach I can really think of. Like and the perfect example I got to tell people to get to is look at his player interviews with former players that he's coached like Darren Waller or even like Jackson Dart or other players he's been around just to get that kind of energy from him. They all love being around the guy. He should be getting another shot back in the league.
I was just going to mention that. I'll say 3 words. You mentioned 2 words, John Gruden. I'll say 3, leader of men. I think that's exactly what John Gruden is. I think that's exactly what he can be if the Giants and owner John Mara make the decision to hire him. I'm not too sure, but I think John Gruden would be a great option. He's an offensive-minded guy. As you mentioned, going back to 1994, has tons of experience as an offensive-minded guy. So the Giants have tons of decisions to make finishing this season, first starting with Mike Kafka and evaluating his job as the interim guy for the final 7 games of the season, and then entering the 2026 offseason, developing a plan, going through the interviews, making sure you get the correct guys. And I believe owner John Mara said this decision is up to general manager Joe Schoen. So he's the one, of course, John Mara is going to give the final A-OK but Shane is the guy. He is going to go through the interviews and eventually make the decision. So we will see what happens there. But we will shift over, and Lorenzo, you just mentioned the West, because that exactly is where we are going right now. Not exactly to the NFC West, but the NFC conference in general. Talking about a conference right now, 10 weeks through the season, it is extremely stacked, and honestly, it's the most competitive it's been within the last decade, and there is really no crew-cut, winning Super Bowl, highly favorite, where you can go out and say this team can beat everybody right now by 30. Maybe it's the Seahawks because they have been playing well. But there are 9 teams right now in the NFC with a 500 record or better, and 7 teams having 6 wins or more. What do we think about the NFC, and who is do we really believe there's a true Super Bowl favorite there?
I think that, that's a great couple questions you threw at me there. NFC is by far I really do believe, and if you know me, I'm a football fanatic. This is like a religion to me, like I said with John Gruden. I've been reviewing the game, looking at history since the 50s. I've been going from the 50s to now. This is by far, in my eyes, the most competitive season I've actually ever seen in NFL history. I've never seen a season this competitive where I can't even think of a team. I can't give you a definitive answer of any of these teams. If someone were to ask me, what's your Super Bowl favorite? What's your NFC, especially NFC? What's your NFC your NFC champion pick? I can't really give you that answer for each division. I can't give you that answer. It has been, with some of them I can, maybe NFC East, because, oh boy. But it has been such a competitive conference that I can't really give you a definitive answer. But football has been exciting. Unless you're a Steelers fan, it's been pretty exciting looking outside your team. And the NFC, it's been stacked all around. The Bears are a super fun team to watch. They got a real tough competition coming up. They're 6-3. Why I mention that is they're 6-3, and I don't even remember the last. I think it was like 2018 probably. 2018 when the last time they were this competitive of a team during the regular season. But they got a tough schedule coming up with the Vikes, our team, the Steelers, the Eagles, the Packers, and it's going to be, and the 49ers later, and then the end of the season they cap it off with the Detroit Lions. So it's going to be hard all around for them. The Buccaneers before the season started, they were a Super Bowl favorite for me. And right now they've been slipping away. They haven't had too good of games. I mean, I saw the Lions game. That was absolutely terrible for them. They couldn't even put up 10 points on the board, which in a 24-9 loss, just awful all-around play. But I haven't been used to this season with any of the Bucs. And the Patriots was a really tough one, too, because everybody was saying and everybody was talking before that game of how easy the Patriots' schedule has been. Well, they topped off one of the best, probably the best team in the NFC. Probably the best team in the NFC. They topped them off in a very competitive game, probably the game of the week there. And it's been a really competitive season so far. And it seems like anybody can come out on top. The Seahawks are looking like the strong team right now, but that can easily change like that.
It can, but not that I disagree. I do think the Bucs are a really good team. If you have to point out Super Bowl favorites, I'll say there's definitive 5. I don't think the Bears right now are a Super Bowl favorite. I do need to see more consistency from them overall, specifically with Caleb Williams. Green Bay is definitely not a Super Bowl favorite. Their offense has not been good. San Francisco isn't even in the current playoff picture. Carolina and Minnesota, I don't think they even make the playoffs. But I do think Philadelphia, Seattle, Detroit, Tampa Bay, and the Rams, you can make a legitimate case for all 5 of those teams that they can win the Super Bowl, specifically because all 5 of them have great offenses. And you look at 3 out of 5, offensive-minded head coaches, Todd Bowles and Mike McDonald. They are defensive guys. But James, any thoughts on the NFC in general, and who do you have as a Super Bowl favorite?
Listen, I think Lorenzo did a phenomenal job at recapping and just covering everything you need to know. I think the Eagles are always just a tough team to beat. I think the Seahawks are playing really good ball, but besides that, it really is like a toss-up. I love watching the Buccaneers play. I think they play some really gritty football as well. But besides just me personally, I just feel like the Eagles are such a tough team to beat, just the way their roster's constructed. But besides that, like really, it is a toss-up. It's gonna depend how teams do down the stretch. It's gonna see like maybe a team just figures it out in a season where everybody's so competitive. All it could take for somebody to be the favorite is to really like click and figure it out. And there's a lot of teams that could do it. And the best part about this is I feel like there's a lot of fun football to watch right now. Not a lot of blowouts. Just like good matchups. I feel like week in, week out. Like just some great football going on. And down the stretch, we're gonna see if somebody does emerge as a favorite and who really clicks.
And on the other side, because the NFC, as we said, Lorenzo, excellent recap. James, great thoughts. But on the other hand, you have the AFC, which is looking, honestly, right now, not saying all of them are good, because they are definitely not. You can give a case for all 7 teams that are currently in the playoffs. Maybe not, because Pittsburgh, here's the thing, they get in the division if they get hot on offense. They just signed Asante Samuel Jr., who had spinal surgery back last offseason.
Great pick, I must add.
And if they have, everybody's thinking, and I agree with it, wide receiver 2, who is going to step up as the wide receiver 2? They signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling to their practice squad. If he comes up and proves that he can be a viable option at the wide receiver position, you have DK Metcalf, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, mix in a little Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, and then you use your big 6'7", Darnell Washington, who weighs 300-plus pounds. Don't ask me how you guard him, but I think he's another option. If they get going in the passing game, they can be really good. 3 teams right now in the AFC sitting at 8-2. What do we make of that conference?
I hate it.
Do you?
I hate the.
Are you nervous?
Know what?
Does Pittsburgh win the division?
No, I'm going to tell you. I hate
right.
the conference. I'm going to tell you, Sebastian.
All right.
I hate this conference because it has been such. It's not fun to watch these games. It's not fun at all.
Did you watch Thursday Night Football, Broncos Raiders?
No, I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch that.
That was so bad.
That was terrible. I knew it was going to be a terrible game.
That's what I'm saying, because Bo Nix...
It's a terrible...
There aren't even that many franchise quarterbacks in the AFC. Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence has not been good. Mahomes, and they aren't even in the playoffs right now.
But I'll tell you what. You can rip... You and him can rip on the Broncos all you want.
Not ripping on the Broncos. I'm ripping Bo Nix.
I'm saying of having like an entertaining game, no matter who they play. But I think that they legitimately still, I said it a couple episodes, probably a month ago at this point back, and a couple episodes back or so, I believe the Broncos are still going to win that division. They have the luck. I think they have a lucky charm. I hate Sean Payton. Let me tell you something. I hate Sean Payton. I think he's a great coach. He's a good coach. He's a very good coach. But he's just not a good person outside of the game of football. But he still gets the best out of this team. And this defense still lighting it up. They're making the game. The reason why the games have been so boring. Let's take a deep dive here. I mean, the Raiders game. Raiders have, and before I said that they were going to be a wild card team. I'm eating my own words now.
I feel bad for Pete Carroll a little bit.
Wow, but they held them to only 7 points. The Texans, another team that I think is not good at all. They held them to 15 points. The Cowboys were a very surprising one. The Cowboys had 24 points on the board, and same thing with the Giants were very surprising, 32 points. But they've still done an amazing job. Other than those 2 games, they've done a great job this year of holding teams to under 20 or under 30 points. Their defense has done an unbelievable job, and you got to give the credit to the team. I think they still have the finest looking defense in the AFC.
I agree.
In the AFC.
Yes.
Not the rest of the league. I still have to take a little deep dive.
You can make a case for the rest of the league. That's not a bad take.
I still say that they're a top 3 defense in the entire league. They're one of the top defenses, probably the number 1 in the rest of the league. You can make a case, like you said, and I think that they have the most boring games so far. Some of them. But then they also produce some of the most exciting. I think that the Denver Broncos can legitimately be. I hope it's like this. The Broncos and the Patriots could very well be the 2 contenders that we see, and we can go back in time 10 years to 2015 where they faced off in the AFC Championship. If the season goes down more like this, and they continue to have both teams continue to have this kind of an incredible burst. An offense, and they hold it, and defense for the Broncos side. Patriots are more an offensive-minded team. the Broncos are more of a defensive-minded team so far. You can easily see these two teams in the AFC Championship because I don't have hope in the rest of this AFC. Other than the Colts and the Chargers, I don't like the Chargers, really. I don't like them as favorites at all. I think they're going to be exits, too.
I honestly don't think I've seen Herbert win the big game yet.
No,
I haven't seen
exactly.
I haven't seen Herbert make the play that shows he can really take you and win 3 or 4 playoff games.
I just don't buy them. I don't ever buy them.
Do you like Harbaugh? Jim Harbaugh?
No. I don't. I like him more than a lot of other coaches in this conference. I will say that, though. I like him a lot more than his brother. I think he's done a lot more than his brother on his resume. Yes. But I don't buy this team as being championship favorites. I don't even buy them winning the wild card. Especially what we saw last year. We were sold on them, and then they fell down the stretch completely. I don't buy this team whatsoever. I don't buy the entire AFC South. I think they're a horrible division except for the Indianapolis Colts. I think the rest of the division is terrible. I don't buy the AFC North whatsoever. I think the whole division is absolutely horrible. They are garbage. I don't buy the Steelers. I want to see more games from them, and I need to see my team win more games. I have been disappointed this season. I've been more disappointed than the past 2 years, which has been crazy to say, but I legit have been. And the rest of this division, I hate the rest of this division, but I just don't like watching them. I don't think they produce entertaining games. I know James is going to come on here next and talk about the Ravens, but I don't even want to mention them. And then the AFC East, the Bills have been an underwhelming team. I'm glad. I hate the Buffalo. I hate Buffalo a lot, as Sebastian well knows. They have been a team that has fallen down the stretch, too. How's your MVP looking, Buffalo and Josh Allen? But the Dolphins have been surprising.
They've been good the past few games.
I guess Tua finally woke up from his slumber for once, ever since he got knocked out. For a little bit. I mean, I got to mention that Dolphins-Bills game because that was an exciting game. I don't know how many of us saw that coming, but that was a truly exciting offensive game by the Miami Dolphins. I wish you would have saw Darren Waller, though.
I honestly think, and it's not a crazy take to say, Mike McDaniel is one of, if not the best, offensive-minded personalities in the game. The way he divides up his offense, and because a lot of coaches, they have screens, motions, left, right, short pass, long pass. Mike McDaniel, it always seems like someone is wide open in the middle of the field. He's doing it without Tyreek Hill, basically a one-man wrecking crew without Darren Waller. I just combined Waller and Waddle. Look at that. I just combined the new last name. But he's done a great job. James, before we take a quick break here on the Sports Corner, any thoughts on the AFC?
It's about, I mean, I've loved, I don't really follow in anything in the AFC North, but you guys are both huge Steelers fans, so I've kept an eye on it recently, and we were having a conversation weeks ago when we were talking about the Ravens and their horrible start. What were they, 1-5, 1-4?
Yeah, and the biggest thing about it is they only lost the defensive tackle in Lamar, which, I don't want to interrupt you, James, I want to make a quick point, but the great teams do not go down by 1 or 2 players. The great teams never go down by 1 or 2 players down the stretch. Continue, my friend.
Listen, we were talking about it, and we were saying, do you think they can come back? What do you think's going to happen? And I just told you guys, like, you know, I'm telling you, the Ravens are gonna come back. I know 3 in a row now, 4-5, 1 game down from 500, and what is it, a game behind the Steelers now?
1 game, yes.
I mean, I think if there's a team that's going to really make waves out of the North, they're a fun offense to watch. I mean, as a neutral fan, it's just fun to watch the Ravens on offense. I don't know. Here they come. I think if we thought the Steelers might take the North. I know you guys want the Steelers to take the North, but I just feel like Ravens are going to come in, whether they do good in the playoffs or not. I think they're going to take the North.
It's definitely not impossible. Right now, if Pittsburgh doesn't get their offense going, with a difficult rest of season schedule that still includes the Ravens twice, you still have to play the Lions in Detroit, you still have to play the Bills at home. Anything can happen. Tons of chaos going on in the NFL right now. But we are going to take a quick break here on the Sports Corner. You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And when we return, we will shift over to Major League Baseball because it is awards time. Lots to talk about. Stay tuned and don't go away just yet. We are back here on the Sports Corner. You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and it is time to shift over to Major League Baseball because there was some really crazy news that was just announced in the sport. We mentioned it briefly a few weeks ago on the show, but this has to deal with the Cleveland Guardians as pitchers Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz have been indicted by prosecutors in Brooklyn, New York on charges involving sports betting. This was reported by ESPN reporter Jeff Passan. But if they are convicted, both of these men are subject to 65 years in prison, and for both of them in their mid-20s, late 20s, that's basically a life sentence for two guys, especially Clase, who was utterly dominant in 2024, a 0.62 ERA, one of the best closers in Major League Baseball, and Luis Ortiz, who has had stints as both a reliever and a starter. James, I know you have your thoughts on this. What do we make of these serious accusations and charges?
Okay, first, I feel so bad for Guardians fans. This is like Wander Franco all over again for Rays fans who just lose a star, like a cornerstone person. Like, to lose a cornerstone player like Emmanuel Clase, I feel so bad for Guardians fans. But overall, these guys have to be the dumbest professional athletes ever. Now, if there was if they were getting paid, there's got to be a motivation when you're doing something like this. If you're doing something like this and you're risking your career, your reputation, your entire life, there's got to be some sort of motive. Like, you got to be getting paid. Like, if you're doing this, it better be some like crazy money, because these guys are already millionaires. They're set for life, and Clase is on track to have a career worth hundreds of millions of dollars, the best closer in baseball, the best talent I think you can argue we've seen from the closer position since Mariano Rivera, and to just throw his career away for $5,000 per pitch, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've seen any player. The only way this makes sense is that if he is somehow involved in some sort of way where he's being blackmailed to do this. Now, the evidence that has come out doesn't suggest that, but that is the only way it makes sense in any form or fashion, because this guy's already made tens of millions of dollars just from playing, but also like brand deals and other stuff like that. This guy has enough money to do whatever he wants. $5,000 is nothing to him, so I have a feeling we're going to see some other information come out. I don't think it's all cut and dry. There might be some like mafia thing involved. People were talking about that. Former players were saying that before season start, they'd have mafia members come in and tell them, don't get involved in this. Like, it could ruin your life. So some people might have something on him. He might be getting blackmailed. But if these guys had nothing on him and he was just purposely throwing balls for $5,000, you got to be the dumbest person on the planet.
From a baseball fan's perspective, not as a Yankee fan, because honestly I could care less what happens to Clase and you like to think that the Yankees and Guardians, they've met before in the playoffs, most recently in 2024. They're both similar teams in terms of they score runs, they have good bullpen guys. But Emmanuel Clase, and I guess, I don't know if it's crazy to say this, but he was doing a lot of this, it was reported, in 2024, where he would purposely, a lot of this happened on 0-0 counts, where he would purposely bet on the fact that he would throw a first pitch ball, and then he would start a majority of these counts down 1-0, and then fight back. I think that goes to show how good Clase is, and how nasty his stuff was, because he could fall behind in the count 1-0 and then just throw a 101 mile per hour sinker at your knees, be back in the count, and then strike you out. It's so crazy because he was already, both of these guys, Clase and Ortiz, multi-millionaires, and you basically throw your life away just like that. Obviously, a 65-year sentence is insane. It's so crazy. Obviously, they would be banned for life from Major League Baseball, never pitch again. And it was reported that Clase was going to pitch in the Dominican Winter League this upcoming winter. And with all of these scandals, I don't even think that happens.
I think he's been suspended from the Dominican Winter League as well.
Okay. Perfect. Well, not perfect, but there it goes. James just had the insight right there. Suspended from the Dominican Winter League. Both of these guys, you just mentioned it. How dumb can you be? Seriously. What are you doing?
It's terrible. And it's bad for baseball. And it's just like, I just don't understand. I think there will be some more information released on this very soon, considering his court date is soon. But if there's no other information and it was just them being dumb, I don't know. Like, they don't deserve to play baseball. They don't.
And of course, as more information on this story comes out, we will keep you updated right here. But now, let's shift over because it is that time of year in Major League Baseball. A few weeks after the World Series ends, it's awards time. Tons of awards just came out. More are coming tonight. A big debate in the MVP race, which we will get to. But let's start off with the Major League Baseball Manager of the Year awards. In the American League, Stephen Vogt. In the National League, Pat Murphy of the Brewers, and Stephen Vogt with those Cleveland Guardians. James, agree or disagree?
I think these are both the right decisions. I mean, it's so funny year in and year out to see the Brewers just be so dominant during the regular season, and they have like Joe Schmo like as at the top of their lineup. Like they have a bunch of nobodies on their team pretty much and young guys, and they just find a way to dominate and play scrappy baseball. And I think that just comes from good top-down management. Yeah, they're not spending as much money as everybody else, but they have good management. They're making good lineups. They're playing good baseball, and they're just showing that they can turn baseball players. Like, if you make it to the Major League Baseball, you're a good baseball player. And it just shows, though, that there's difference in development. And they just have great management across the board. Pat Murphy, perfect choice. Stephen Vogt, second year in a row, I think?
Yeah, second year.
Second year in a row for him. People were calling for him to be fired in the middle of the season when the Guardians were going through a rough stretch. But I think this is also the perfect choice for the AL. I know people wanted it to be John Schneider with the Blue Jays, but cheaters don't get awards, and they're cheating. We just don't know it yet. But the Blue Jays are cheating. I just can't prove it. Stephen Vogt, definitely the perfect pick for this. Brought a Guardians team back from the jaws of a absolutely horrible season and brought them all the way to the playoffs. So I think these are both perfect. I think these are the right choices.
Well, I think you know this, James. The Blue Jays, you can correct. They have their hotel out in center field. Imagine there's something going on similar.
There's something there.
Similar to the Astros where they have a camera set up in center field in the hotel, and they have that zoomed in on something. Obviously now with the PitchCom, catchers aren't putting down signs anymore, but that would actually be crazy. But until that comes out, I'll play good cop right now. Honestly, I don't agree with the American League. I really don't. I think for John Schneider, and a lot of it from my perspective, is what were the expectations coming into the season? And a lot of picks, especially by the so-called experts, a lot of those now in sports, but a lot of the guys, Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, a lot of these insiders who deal with the teams, the Blue Jays were projected in a majority of polls to finish 4th or 5th in the division. Rightfully so, honestly. Coming into the year, you have the Yankees as the defending conference champs. They made the World Series. The Boston Red Sox, you sign Alex Bregman. You have a lot of young guys. You trade for Garrett Crochet. The Orioles, tons of young studs. Jackson Holliday, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, that core three right there. And the Tampa Bay Rays, who always, as you mentioned with the Brewers, similar comparison, a bunch of, not really nobodies, but a bunch of guys in a low market situation that always outperform their expectations with Kevin Cash. Their bullpen is always good. And for the Cleveland Guardians, who were just in the the ALCS last year, they were able to get things done and perform, and they were honestly projected once again to win the division along with the Royals. I think for the Blue Jays, obviously this is a regular season award, so everything that happened past the regular season doesn't matter. But the Blue Jays go out there, they dominate the Yankees in the regular season, they dominate overall against the entire American League East, and they win the division. So honestly, I really think it should have been John Schneider. Do I hate that it was Stephen Vogt? Absolutely not. I'm a Yankee fan. Okay, bye, John Schneider. Pat Murphy, 100%. You put it very well right there. Great guy, always performs in a low market. So those are my 2 cents on it. But those are the American League and National League winners right there. But now, let's stay on the topic of the awards. The Cy Young Award winners just came out last night, fresh off the paper. Tarek Skubal in the American League becomes the first AL pitcher to win back-to-back Cy Young Awards since Pedro Martinez, 99-2000. James, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Skubal is, you can make an argument he's the best pitcher in the league, but I think that comes from the guy who won National League Cy Young. Just another dominant season from him, just merely unhittable at this point. He's figured it out. It took him a little while, but, once he turned around 26 years old, something clicked with him, and he just became absolutely unhittable. I mean, 2.21 ERA, just over 240 strikeouts, .89 WHIP. Like, when you're going into somewhere, and especially on a team from like the Detroit Tigers, when somebody knows it's Scooble Day or it's bump day for the opposing team's pitcher, like that's how you know you've made a name for yourself. This guy's so much fun to watch. He's got a lot of energy when he's on the field too. Just an absolute dominant pitcher, and he was the right choice. I mean, I know Crochet was up there with him, but it was Scooble all the way. Just a dominant force and a great guy too.
No doubt. First of all, I think we need more of that energy by pitchers in Major League Baseball. Same with hitters, too. A lot of pitchers, when they pitch, they get very upset when the hitter makes a grand reaction once they get a big hit, home run. I don't like that whatsoever. I think we need more enthusiasm in Major League Baseball. But you said it best. 13-6, 2.21 ERA. He was phenomenal. And as you said, when it's bump day, when you have a Garrett Cole on the mound, a Tarek Skubal, a Garrett Crochet, a Hunter Brown from the Astros, those are the guys that you expect to win ball games 9 out of 10 times. And they did it for a majority of the year with the Detroit Tigers. Tarek Skubal, your American League Cy Young Award winner. And on the other side, the National League, Paul Skeens wins his first career Cy Young Award 1 year after being named Rookie of the Year. And was there any doubt? Unanimous, 30 out of 30 first place votes. He was absolutely phenomenal. The first pitcher, I think, within a decade to have 2 years with a sub-2 ERA. Finished the season 10-10. Wow. That's crazy. Oh my god. That's actually insane. Think about that. Tarek Skubal, a 1.97 ERA. The worst. He would just never get offense. 10 wins, 10 losses, 1.97. Absolutely dominant. 216 strikeouts. James, thoughts on Paul Skeens?
This is the best pitcher in the world, and I think he will be the best pitcher in the world. I think he was the best pitcher in the world last year when he got called up. And I think he will be the best pitcher in all of baseball for quite some time, barring an injury. When you throw as hard as he does, it's almost inevitable. But right now, with as young as he is too, he should have a live arm for a while. And I think you never want to wish an injury on anybody, and I hope it doesn't happen. But unless he comes across any injuries, he might have one of the most impressive pitching careers we've ever seen. This might be the beginning of this generation's Clayton Kershaw. He's second year in, and he's already a Cy Young winner. Sub-2 ERA, and he's still growing in the game. He's still getting better. That is so terrifying. Paul Skeens is still getting better. That's a horrific thing to think about, like as an opposing team. This is the best pitcher in baseball, and I think he will be for a while, and I believe this is going to be his first of many Cy Young awards.
And for a guy that consistently pitches into the 7th and 8th innings, the fastball velocity never changes. He is consistently throwing 101, 102 the entire game when he's past 100 pitches. It's absolutely insane. He has so many pitches. He was working on a splinker, which is a combination of a splitter and a sinker. It's absolutely unbelievable. He's always trying to find ways to improve. He's just such an unbelievable pitcher. I think you said it perfectly. This generation's Clayton Kershaw, no doubt about it, for Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal. Both, I believe, they were the right choices there. But now, the last thing we will talk about today, the MVP awards. We'll do it very quickly in the National League. Quick take right here. Shohei Ohtani. Is there anyone else?
It's gonna be Shohei. Shohei's already won. Like, you just give him the award already. Just another phenomenal season, and I doubt it's gonna be his last one. There's always next year for Shohei. So, it's gonna be Shohei. Schwarber put up a phenomenal season, but I don't think anybody else really competed with Shohei this year.
The unicorn of baseball. I'll put it that Shohei Ohtani will be the National League MVP award winner. But now the hot debate. Aaron Judge versus Cal Raleigh. Aaron Judge, he has been so phenomenal his entire career. 331 average to finish the year, 179 hits, 53 homers, 114 RBIs. But then on the other hand, Cal Raleigh, who broke the record for most home runs by a switch hitter this season with 60 and by a catcher. James, who will win this tonight?
It's going to be Judge. And I know people are making it's not a hot debate. I know people are using the excuse of all the stuff that Raleigh did as catcher, at catcher and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, that is really impressive. It truly is. And it's not. I don't want to understate that by any means, but there's no debate. This is voter fatigue in real time, and not just voter fatigue. I've been saying this for the past year and a half now. Aaron Judge might go down as the greatest offensive hitter of all time, not even just right-handed hitter. I think he's already almost there, but he might go down as one of the greatest offensive players of all time, and people really don't notice that. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. You're looking at an all-time great. One day you're going to be sitting around a table with your grandkids or something like that, the same way your parents or your grandparents were talking about Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig. You're talking about that. This is an all-time great that we are watching right now, and you'll be able to say one day, I watched Aaron Judge play baseball. That's the type of guy he is. That's the type of season he had. Another historic all-time season. You could put it up there with some of the best seasons ever. Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs. He had a phenomenal season, never taking that away from him, but it is nowhere near close to Aaron Judge at all.
I was just going to say that right now we're in 2025. People back in the 1990s when our parents were around and younger, of course, you would talk about how you watched Babe Ruth in the 1920s. Fast forward now 60 years or no, when we're in 2080 and 2090, you are going to be talking to your grandkids about what Aaron Judge did in the 2020s. He is just a historic player. As you mentioned, voter fatigue. People always want something different, but it should absolutely be Aaron Judge. But that is going to do it here on the Sports Corner. You have been listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. From Sebastian Stratton, Lorenzo Gonzalez, and James Gregg. Tune in to next week's show, same time, same place. Have a great day, everyone, and have a great weekend.